My wife left these notebooks open the morning she died. The police called it an accident, but these pages told a completely different story.
Same time next month.
You should have checked before you buried the truth. My wife found your secret, and tonight, so did I.
My wife left her research notebooks open on the desk the morning she died. 8 months ago. Car accident on a rain-slicked road 3 days after she filed a formal EPA complaint about unusual chemical readings in the wetlands behind our neighborhood. The police report said accident. The timing has never stopped haunting me. My name is Daniel Reeves, environmental engineer, widower, father of a 7-year-old named Sophia, who still asks when Mama is coming home, and sometimes carries Elena's research notebooks in her backpack because they smell like her mother. Elena spent 4 years studying the protected wetlands behind Maplewood Estates, rare salamanders, native plant communities, seasonal water quality data going back to when we moved in. Her notebooks were full of her handwriting in the margins, question marks beside chemical readings that made no sense, a pattern she was close to identifying when she ran out of time. I started reading her notebooks the night I couldn't sleep. By 2 in the morning, I understood what she had found. Vivian Hartford had been HOA president for 12 years. Pearl BMW, designer landscaping. The kind of woman who smiled at community barbecues while charging elderly residents $200 for wind chimes she personally found aesthetically displeasing. She had built an entire suburban empire on the assumption that nobody was paying close enough attention. Elena had been paying very close attention. The chemical readings in her notebooks showed elevated industrial solvents appearing in the wetlands every 8 to 12 weeks going back 4 years, consistent with scheduled industrial disposal rather than environmental accident. She had mapped the entry points, photographed the access paths, filed her EPA complaint on a Thursday. She died the following Sunday. I spent 6 weeks finishing what she started. Water samples from 12 collection points Elena had marked. Soil cores from the contaminated zones. 3 trail cameras positioned at the access points she had identified. Camera 2 captured everything I needed on a Tuesday night. 2 industrial tanker vehicles with NovaChem markings. 8 men in hazmat suits with pumping equipment. Vivian Hartford, standing at the gate in a rain jacket holding a clipboard while they worked. The operation took 4 hours. When it was finished, she walked one of the workers to his vehicle, and he handed her an envelope. I called the EPA emergency response line at 6 in the morning with Elena's 4 years of data and 6 weeks of my own. The federal response took 11 days. What the EPA discovered during their site investigation went far beyond what either Elena or I had documented. NovaChem had been paying Vivian $3,000 a month cash for wetlands access since 2011. 12 years of illegal industrial waste disposal. 47 separate chemical compounds in concentrations that explained cancer clusters in 3 surrounding neighborhoods that public health officials had never been able to source. 12 years of people getting sick while Vivian collected an envelope at the gate and went home to her Pearl BMW and her designer landscaping and her aesthetic violation notices. I found a Jefferson salamander during my sampling work. Critically endangered species. The moment I documented its presence in the contaminated wetlands, the Endangered Species Act triggered automatic federal jurisdiction. Vivian could no longer claim this was a local HOA matter or a civil dispute. Every dumping event became a federal wildlife crime. At the EPA enforcement hearing, Vivian sat with 6 attorneys and said nothing for 4 hours while federal prosecutors walked through Elena's data, my data, the camera footage, 12 years of cash payments, and the medical records of 43 families who had developed rare cancers within 3 miles of the access point. She pleaded guilty to avoid trial. federal environmental destruction, conspiracy to commit wildlife crimes, 12 counts of accepting bribes, money laundering. The sentences were consecutive, 31 years. Novachem paid a $400 million EPA settlement. A portion funded environmental restoration. Another portion established a medical fund for affected families. I stood in Elena's study the evening after sentencing, looking at her notebook still open on the desk. She had been 3 samples away from the complete picture when she ran out of time. Sophia came in and climbed into my lap and asked if Mama would be happy. I looked at her daughter's face and thought about a woman who spent 4 years protecting something most people drove past without noticing. She would be happy, I said. She finished it, I didn't say. We finished it together.